standard Kelra going up against the next standard Doming.
Again, we're talking about swords earlier. Get your guns ready as well. Kelra and Doming. Beatrix is their basically trump card. If all else fails, Harith doesn't get picked up, Moskov doesn't get picked up, so watch out for that as well.
Who will get the Beatrix? And I'm glad that you also mentioned the Harith and the Moskov. As we look for the last time this season, the Infinix keys to victory for both of these two teams. It's simple, but there's so many layers to it. Unleash the hero within.
And this is not just the actual heroes in MLBB. They are all heroes in their own respect, their own rights, and of course in their own fields. Obviously, everyone else is just roaring and gunning for that trophy. But then again, they have different approaches to it as well.
Yeah, of course, they know their specific roles, even down to their monikers. I mean, the Hitman making sure to get those catches, the Bruiser soaking up the damage, and who could forget King Kong, the Beast. Are we settling with the Beast or the Beast incarnate?
Let's go with the Beast.
The Beast, King Kong.
That's right. We are live here in Green Sun. It's packed all the way to the brim here. And of course, we have watch parties happening all over the Philippines as well, and the world. Big shout out to all of our restreamers that are live right now on different platforms. We got people on TikTok, we got people on Facebook, we got people on YouTube, and everywhere in between, waiting patiently for the finals champion.
Whoa!
We have a selection for our game here. Blue side is going to be picked up by Fnatic Onyx Philippines. We talk about whenever they pick blue side, 85% of the time, they get it done.
Yeah, one thing I'm going to be looking out here for is if they're going to decide to pick up their EXP roam flexes early. There's one pick shared between these two that is just so powerful. For Kirk and for Edward, are they actually going to be racing for the Edith?
The Edith actually was highlighted as well earlier when they were making an entry. And a lot of people online also kind of point towards the Edith. Right now, such a winning hero for Kirk. I think about 10 out of 13 times he does get it done, as well as Edward, very close by with that stat line. So we're going into it, guys. It is Game 1 draft here between Aurora, MLBB, and Fnatic Onyx Philippines. Let's get into the nitty-gritty.
You know, gentlemen, I have to admit, going into this, I had a killer headache, but then I realized it's because I was running draft simulations in my head, and going through all of the possibilities, my head hurt like crazy. FNOP, you have the power picks available for you. Suyo is wide open for King Kong to take.
That's right. Suyo obviously is the big question here, whether or not Suyo can is gonna get countered out. So far, no one has actually answered that yet. No, there's no straight up answer for the Suyo, more of the soft picks.
Yeah, I think if ever Fnatic decides to go for the Suyo, Master of the Basics and the squad of Aurora can go for that patented Mathilda Alpha that they've been using to get out. Oh, but the Mathilda has been banned out. Okay.
Yeah, I believe this could be a Harith Edith if they're going to rush their side laners already. But usually the tendency of Aurora is that they'll... Actually, no, they go for the roamers a little bit later, but I would understand if they want to take away the Cho or the Tigreal already away from Brusco. But I think high consideration for the Edith or the Phoveus to be prioritized here.
Yeah, the Edith obviously is not going to do anything bad here for Aurora. The Lego Phoveus? No! They go for Eve right away. Yue coming in here with a pick that... I don't know, it's so hard to actually quantify for Yue here, Renmar.
Yeah, Rush, they had to respect the mid of Super Friends, or the Yue, well, the Yue of Super Friends, the Eve, rather, of Super Friends, excuse me, that has had a stellar record so far, undefeated this season. So, of course, Brusco, with it open, he goes ahead and picks up the Cho. So, Kelra, are you going to pick up the Harith here to fight under the real-world manipulation?
It does feel like a bit of a different scenario if you... It feels different that Yue is holding the Eve overall, right? So I wonder what they're thinking here, Ian.
Oh! Okay, so they go for the Valentina, one of the usual heroes that could go head-to-head with the Eve in the hands of Super Friends. So right now, they're not focusing on the gold lane because, again, the availability of the Harith is still there. But for Master of the Basics and the squad of Aurora, what do you go with right now?
They actually turned off the Tigreal for Renegade, but Renegade has a wide hero pool that they can go for. It's not that they cannot go for it. They can just delay it, or they think twice about it because the Valentina can steal away the ultimate of the Tig. So Aurora will fall into their alpha that they've been playing a lot, which means that this opens up the possibility of us seeing the heel man options later on. You'll still have to consider the Rafaela as a great pickup for Aurora, and maybe they might even surprise us and go with an Angela.
And sir, in my draft simulations in my brain, it's very, very likely as well. I feel like the Rafaela is a bit underrated, especially in scenarios where you have a death box.
Yeah.
You want to kind of initialize with your teammates, and the rest of you want also the follow-up with the alpha, right?
Yeah.
So that deadly combo can chase people down very hard.
Yeah, gentlemen, one thing to add here, the Rafaela and Angela for Renegade this season is actually both undefeated. He's 2-0 for both of those heroes.
Undefeated.
That's right.
And that's considering that he went up against Falcon's AP Bren using the Rafaela,
Yeah.
so you know it. He means business.
The opponents of those two heroes right now are definitely champions in their own rights, right? So who knows? But right now, in terms of frontline, I feel like Aurora has a pretty good two at least for now for the Alpha and the Edith. But their damage department is mostly the OT. I don't see any burst here yet for Aurora.
Yeah, the closest thing they have to a burst is if ever Demon Cat can actually get a nice early game going on for him. If that Alpha doesn't get the early game that he wants, or doesn't have a Rafaela, or most importantly an Angelo that can supplement a good power spike, then yeah, they're lacking the damage right now. So burst, I think, might be the key for their gold laner pick later on.
And they also need that to take out Suyo, because if you don't burst down Suyo early on, if you just DOT Suyo, he can dash out so easily. He has iframes as well to dodge out these kills.
Yeah, and apart from that, imagine if King Kong just dominates the early game with the kits that Suyo has. For sure, he's going to get the neutral objectives, first two turtles. And we all know when you get the first two turtles, it's almost an easy snowball game for the respective team that secures the neutral objectives.
Harith or Moskov available for Domeng in terms of his usual go-to pickups here. So he goes for the Harith.